It's time for an Out and About with Jamie Grout podcast, and this time we'll be chatting with Evelyn George, who will be leaving her mayoral post at the end of the year after serving for 2 years. She's going to be enjoying retirement for the time being, but she's not ruling out maybe getting into politics or at least serving on some committees or volunteering her time to whatever she may decide she wants to volunteer her time for in the future in Newton efforts. We go way back to when I first came back to Newton in 2007 as I served on the Maytag Bull Restoration Committee, and she was the head of that committee, and you'll find out more about that in our podcast, and all of some of the accomplishments that she and her city council members had over the past 2 years. And so I'm looking forward to talking to her about that. And we'll get to that in just a couple of moments. But first, a word from our sponsors. When you see those courthouse lights lit up on the Jasper County Courthouse, know that Ryan and his crew from Ryan's Tire and Auto on First Avenue in Newton contributed $2,000 to the courthouse lighting. He's very proud of that. They donated all that money to the Courthouse Lighting Fund, and he says on his Facebook page that they couldn't do it without the loyalty of their customers. He says his dad loved the holiday lights, and so does he. His team and himself will always be there for Jasper County, doing the right things in business and the right things for the community. He says thank you to Jasper County, and they won all kinds of awards in the Jasper County Choice Contest with the Newton paper. So congratulations to Ryan's Tire and Auto on all that. And they continue to support the community. Also want to thank one of our other sponsors, Newton Clinic, and they say on their Facebook page that as the year winds down, it's the perfect time to check in on your health. Many insurance plans reset on January 1st, so don't let your yearly benefits go unused. Whether you still need your annual physical, blood work, or routine screenings, they are here to help you finish the year feeling your best. Call Newton Clinic today to schedule your appointment or get a hold of them at newtonclinic.com. That's newtonclinic.com. Another fine sponsor, Advantage Credit Union.
Did that car loan from your current financial institution, Scrooge Bank and Mistrust, put you on the high-interest naughty list? It's Santa's little helper Jeff from Advantage Credit Union. If you like your vehicle, but your payments are too high, we'll get you on the nice list. Sleigh ride to your new financial ho-ho-home, Advantage Credit Union. Refinancing your higher rate loan allows you to keep the car you love just with a lower payment and more jingle in your pocket.
Subject to credit approval. Advantage Credit Union, member NCUA.
You save a lump of cash, Scrooge Bank gets a lump of coal.
It's time for an Out and About with Jamie Grout podcast, and I am excited today to talk to Evelyn George, the outgoing mayor, and not just outgoing mayor, but she's very outgoing of Newton. And I don't want to dominate the podcast, Evelyn, but I do want to say in the outset, and I think I said this when we had our first podcast. In fact, you were the very first podcast that I did.
That's right.
And that was that I met you, gosh, this would have been maybe 2007, 2008, when I first came back to Newton.
Yep.
And you and I were on the Maytag Bull Restoration Committee, and you were the leader of it. And it was a hard job. People do not know, because there were a group of ladies, and I think most of them have passed now. So you should not speak ill will of the dead, but most of them have passed away. And they were some tough ladies that wanted everything kept historically, which I am okay with. I'm not going to criticize them for that. There's a large group of people in town. One of them, my good friend Larry Hurto, who wants a lot of historical things kept. And they wanted the Maytag Bull kept. Yet there was another group of people here in town that wanted it all modernized and wanted concession stands and new seats put in. And there was a fundraiser for it and all this kind of stuff. So there were two factions in town in 2007, 8, whenever it was. 2009 for the Maytag Bull. And you had the difficult job of trying to bring those factions together. And I can remember even being at a city council meeting, and Chaz Allen was the mayor, and he had to have some people sit down and shut up a little bit, which wasn't easy. And you had to wrangle everybody together and get everybody together and try to come to some kind of compromise. And Evelyn, I want to give you props, because you did not have an easy job. And in those meetings that I was in on. I saw your leadership capabilities at that time, and that's why I saw how you could be a good mayor for Newton. And you're coming to the end of your tenure, and you were a good mayor, and there's a lot of us that are sad to see you go. So bring that microphone right up to you and
Okay.
tell us about your feelings.
I know. I had to go back to when we were on the Maytag Bowl Committee together too, because Chaz Allen was mayor and he specifically appointed people that had strong opinions in both directions, just to restore it to what it used to be, or those that wanted to renovate it into something modern, and then people that were undecided. So
I was in the undecided category.
yes, because my basic philosophy is to educate. I knew what I didn't know. So we educated ourselves and we went through that together. And what I've learned is when you focus on what unites us, the fact that we all agreed the Maytag Bowl was a significant amenity within our city. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's focus on that. And then we did that whole exercise on what is most important and prioritized what was most important. And we found a lot of common ground.
And it had fallen kind of into disrepair.
Oh, it was terrible.
And there were a lot of people that had a lot of different opinions. I remember a guy by the name of Hershey who came in, and he had been with the Maytag company, and he was saying, well, water is coming downhill and the foundation is sinking, and we got to do this and we got to do that. And there were a myriad of different opinions to try to figure that out. And hey, it's been restored. I think maybe it was a kind of thing where I think we all came to a compromise as to what it would be and how it has been. And I have to ask you about this as being mayor and before that being on the city council. Did that lead you to overseeing, making sure that the bowl was being taken care of in your position on the city council and as mayor? Did you focus on that more because you were on that committee and in a leadership role on that committee, Evelyn?
Well, I think that what I did was I saw how important that was and what a unifying aspect it was. So as we worked on parks, and of course, during my service, we had the park bond issue, which was overwhelmingly supported by 71% of the voters that, yes, we want to improve our parks, because that's part of what draws people together in a community, draws new people to a community. So definitely that, and the fact that we can find common ground when we decide to focus on what unites us versus what divides us. And I think in today's political environment, that's just even more important than ever.
You bet.
And really, I'll admit that I had not been to a city council meeting until I was on that Bull Project committee and needed to report. So I learned a little bit about the government there and how it works, but it was when the three younger people were elected to the city council, and they said, we've got to stop saying we don't have money, we're dying because we lost a major employer. We are choosing to live here and to raise our families here. There's wonderful things here in Newton, and that's why I threw my hat in the ring to be appointed for that open position.
Well, you already answered my next question, is why did you decide to be on the city council? Because it was a tough time for Newton. Maytag had just left town, and I came to town in 2007, and everybody was like, woe is me, what are we going to do now that Maytag has left town? And now I feel like, in a sense, and ever since I've been back in town, that Newton is kind of in its renaissance period.
Absolutely, because we've been building on that. There hadn't been, any work done on streets, but in fact, the city council recently voted for some bonding that would continue to work on our streets, replace old vehicles and equipment for our parks department, the fire and the police, improve continue to work on our parks. Also at that time, you'll remember a few years later, it was actually, we introduced the Get to Know Newton brand to really say, we're very proud of our community. We have all these amenities. Let's talk about it in a positive way and attract our residents and visitors to come here. Then shortly after that, we were named a Main Street community. So we started getting people really focused on how do we improve our downtown because it was tired. Very tired as people were afraid to make investments. Well, with public-private partnership, we've had over $20 million in private money invested in our downtown, and boy, can you see it. It's restoring that pride. It's making it a bustling place. And especially with, we've got a brand new concept here with the Gray Moon Public Market, so there'll be more to even offer there.
Yes, I'm looking forward to seeing that. I have not been there yet, but I'm looking forward to that.
Yes, I think they'll have a big weekend here. We also, of course, launched that housing initiative,
Yes.
which I'll admit, I had a little sticker shock myself at some of the things we were going to do.
Were you kind of skeptical at first?
I was hopeful that we could prime the pump and the water would keep flowing. Well, of course, every rural community in the state of Iowa has struggles with housing, just attracting developers because they like to do volumes in the metro areas. And then since COVID, the costs have gone just ridiculously through the roof, and we knew that we had to get housing of all types. But one of the aspects was to tear down the dangerous and dilapidated buildings, and we got a lot of positive feedback about that. And now, as I look through the community, to see new homes and new development on those lots that bring up the value of the whole neighborhood, plus then the other homeowners feel confident that they can invest in their homes because the neighborhood is elevated. The Jewel T condos there by the hospital. I don't know if you remember what a disaster that block looked like.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about sad and dangerous and dilapidated. Just removing all those homes and putting in these very convenient housing there. We hadn't had a new apartment building. We got Lionsgate. Then talking about historic restoration, we took the Maytag Hotel, and now it's home to dozens of people. Of course, the Plant One Loft Apartments is offering yet another type of housing. Oh my goodness, we started with just a few plots over by Agnes Patterson in Fair Meadows, and then the city purchased, all of Arbor Estates, and we've got dozens of new homes that are being built at this time.
Well, the list of accomplishments are voluminous, Evelyn, so let's continue talking about some of those.
Okay, yes. Well, Bruce Showalter with our Newton Housing Development keeps a running tab, and so I did look up. We've had 159 unit permits, that's housing permits, issued during that time. 136 have closed, and we've got 22 under construction right now.
Now, explain to me about how the people get like the $1,000 rebate on those homes.
Okay, yeah, there is a $10,000.
Oh, $10,000
new home.
Okay.
Yep, it's a $10,000 new home incentive, and that is at the time that the new home. So it has to be a brand new home in the community, and it has to be at a certain price point or value.
Okay.
And then upon occupancy, so when it's ready for the new homeowner to move in, they do get a check for $10,000. And that check can be used toward their down payment, toward appliances, toward, closing costs, whatever they particularly need. And initially the question was, why are we doing that? Well, that still allows, that's less than the tax abatement program that we had prior. And it also assures that we're going to get those property taxes for the school, for extension, for the county, and for the city. So having those taxes right away is important. And the other thing that I heard other cities that had tax abatement, once the tax abatement was over, the monthly cost, the mortgage cost went up so much that some of those new homeowners had to sell to make the monthly payments.
Yeah. So becoming mayor, going from being on the city council to becoming mayor, did the job surprise you?
It did. It is different. And I was really thinking about that lately because when you're a council member, you vote, you make decisions, you set policy. You approve resolutions, ordinances. As the mayor, no longer is that decision making. It's about, really providing, guidance maybe, or you can provide advice, but you don't get to vote and you don't get to decide.
It's more cheerleading, and then you only get to vote. What if it's a tie, right?
Well, if it's a tie on a motion, which there are very few motions, the only one I can remember Mayor Hansen breaking was a motion whether we should have the Maytag pool open or closed during COVID summer.
I see.
Otherwise, if it's an ordinance or a resolution, if it's a tie vote, it fails.
Okay, but how about management of the different departments? Aren't you like over the police department or
No. We have the city administrator. So
Okay.
we have a form of government where the city administrator reports to the elected officials.
Okay, all right.
And all of the staff reports under the city administrator. Once upon a time, when Fred Maytag, before the city administrator process, then all the elected officials each had an area that they were in charge of. So if you were elected as a council member, you might be in charge of streets, and I'm in charge of waterworks or parks. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't think we have the expertise for those.
Sure.
Not to mention, I don't have that much interest
Okay, sure.
in that.
Yeah, I get
so
that.
fortunately, we've got a very, very capable, very smart staff in each of those areas that works very hard with.
So it sounds like you were pretty busy, though, as mayor. And what were you doing then?
It really is. As you said, it's about cheerleading. It's about representing the community. I did find myself going out, talking with our legislators, talking with other local leaders, and talking with neighboring communities about how to improve. I've met with some of the students at the various schools to talk about the importance of being involved in local government and how much it impacts you from the time you wake up in the morning and turn the water faucet on, or you flush the toilet, or throw something in the trash. Those are all services that the city provides.
And they probably don't, a lot of them don't even realize that. They probably just think, oh, whatever,
That's
no
right.
big deal. Yeah, exactly. And I had mentioned this when we did our first podcast. You are a role model, especially I think for young girls, that, a lot of the people that are in sometimes political positions, city council, government, legislative, and whatever, are men, that, hey, I could be mayor. You're only the second woman mayor of the city of Newton, the first Mert Levine. And so, that's neat that you provided that position. Let me ask you this. Have you thought about throwing your hat in the ring to get back on the city council at some time in the future, or are you going to rule that out?
I won't close the door on that.
Okay.
So at this point, I'm going to focus on our marriage and the fact that my husband and I are both retired now. So we have to figure out how to transition to, both of us being retired. My husband's a golfaholic, so we are going to go south for a while this winter to enjoy the golf courses in Florida.
Florida, okay. Have you ever been to Myrtle Beach?
I have not, but I want to.
Well, they've got a gazillion golf courses down there from what I understand. I'm not a golfer myself, but when I was in high school, we went to North Myrtle Beach, and my dad wasn't a golfer either, but they've got all kinds of shoreline there, and they've got miniature golf, and they've got amusement parks, and they've got great restaurants and seafood restaurants and all kinds of, and if your husband wants to play golf, they've got a ton of golf courses, so I recommend that place highly. So Florida's great too, though, don't get me wrong.
Well, I just think there's so much of the United States we have not really personally enjoyed. We did go on a trip to New England, and it was fun, and
That's great.
just really need to explore more of our great country.
Well, you've worked very hard. Is there one thing in particular that you're going to miss about being mayor, Evelyn?
Oh,
If you could pick one thing. I mean,
I
I'm
could
sure there's a
pick
lot
one
of
thing.
the highlights. You can
well,
yeah,
yeah,
you
I
can
know.
come up with something, I'm sure.
Well, I know that I'm welcome to come to any city council meeting that I want, and I'm going to volunteer.
Okay,
That'll
that's-
give me a little more flexible schedule
great.
than needing to be here in for city council meetings twice a month and some extra meetings in between. And then I found out that, I facilitate the 2080 agreement on the landfill. And I mean, there are just a number of other commitments that I hadn't realized.
Let me tell you, there is a lady that is going to become mayor of a town just east of us in Grinnell by the name of Sam Cox. And I do a podcast once a week for Grinnell and 2 a week for Newton. And Sam owns the Saints Rest Coffee House there. And now she did run for the state legislature before, and she did not win. But I just on Wednesday I did a podcast with her, and I told her about you, and you two should get together for coffee sometime because you're the outgoing, being mayor. She's the incoming mayor, and she could probably use your advice. And you should just get together and chat sometime because I'm sure, she could use your wisdom.
That would be fun. That would be fun.
I don't think she was even on the city council in Grinnell before, but she, Mayor Agnew over there, has given her this booklet, this big voluminous 3-ring binder, she said, that she has to study. And so, people have come to her with all kinds of thoughts. And, she has this place that people come into. And I know she's concerned about the business district. And they do have an animal rescue league organization called PALS over there, which unfortunately we do not have here, but it gets no funding from the city. But she is kind of in the same role as you were in, where she's going to be a cheerleader. So I asked her about funding for that, and she'd be for that, but there's nothing that she can do about that at this point. So there's a lot of things that she can cheerlead for, but, it's kind of a frustrating thing on her part because she can't do a lot about that, but she's going to do what she can. And so maybe you can help her along those lines,
and
too.
I said, really, I work a lot behind the scenes. Talking with people, gathering ideas, and connecting people and bringing forward ideas. Like I said, you can advise and you can consult, but as far as, the final decision, it has to go through the city council.
And I remember hearing about Tour Iowa coming through town, and it was all because Melissa Dalton had told me about it one morning at Maid Ride, and that's because you had suggested that. Tell us about Tour Iowa and how you connected with them, Evelyn.
Well, they came to town. Someone came to town. She was just checking out various communities for their tour, which they provide or organize for our Iowa magazine each year. And I happened to be the one, that was in the office. And so I thought about what's the best way to really show off Newton. Now, they had some of their own ideas, which I thought were a little less unique. So I was able to kind of guide them along and just share lots of information on what the options would be. And Joy the pig is far more interesting than than a lot of things and very unique. So
I had lunch with a guy you might be familiar with, Van Harden, on Wednesday. He's kind of a radio legend in Iowa. He's won 5 Marconi Awards, which is the highest honor you can get in Iowa. And he's traveled the world. And so I asked him, Van, I said, what are some of the highlights of your travels around the world? And he said, well, the pyramids of Egypt were pretty neat. You wonder how they built them. But he said, Jamie, he said, some of the neat local ice cream shops around Iowa were really neat. We love going to the unique ice cream shops. And every little town around Iowa has something kind of unique about them. And so that's neat that you suggested, like Joy the Mini Pig, and there's all these great.
Well, we went to the Arboretum, and they went to the Center for Art and Artists, and of course the public art.
Sure.
All throughout town brings you through Maytag Park.
And Maytag Dairy Farms is unique also. I mean, there's so many neat little gems around Iowa, and Newton is no exception to that too. And that's one of the things, and I think I've given you praise at Newton Rotary Club about you being such a great PR person for the city of Newton, because as I mentioned on the outset, Newton is pulling itself up by its bootstraps, and we are in a renaissance period, and you're to be thanked for doing that. And tell us about your thoughts on our incoming mayor, Randy Irvin, too, because I went to school with Randy. We people who know him just call him Irv. You know, he's been a coach for the football team for years. He was on the runner-up football team in 1978. We were in theater together in high school. And personally, I can't say I'm not a little prejudiced, but I think the city's in pretty good hands.
Oh, that's great. Well, I learned there's a Mid-Iowa local government group I call it the Central Iowa Mayors. They meet on a monthly basis. So what I learned is, of course, Randy wasn't able to go because the Cardinals were still playing football. Yeah. And so Mark Hallen went with me to a meeting, and Tom Phillips.
Yeah,
Tom Phillips. He's the mayor of Norwalk.
He was in the same class as Randy Irvin. And let me tell you about Tom Phillips real quick. We were CB buddies back in the day. I don't know if you remember the CB craze. And I was Little Duke. And the reason I was Little Duke is my dad is from Winterset. And he always said that John Wayne used to pull him around in a little red wagon when it was just a bunch of bunk. But he was Big Duke and I was Little Duke. No, he was JW and I was Little Duke. And then Tom Phillips was Stargazer because he had a telescope and he loved to look at the stars. And we would talk on the CB radio back and forth all the time. And we recently had Tom Phillips on WHO because he's trying. He's the mayor of Norwalk,
right?
And he's trying to get a Buc-ee's. I don't know if you've ever heard of Buc-ee's.
Yes.
I guess it's like like a Quick Star. Or a Casey's on steroids. That's what everybody says.
Yes, it is.
And he's trying to get one in Norwalk. Anyway, he's from Newton, and he went to school. He graduated in the same class as Randy Irvin. I believe that was the class of 1979, and he's been mayor. I don't mean to interrupt you, but that's my connection with Tom Phillips.
Yeah, so we were talking about that and the fact that Tom was like president of the student council, yes, and Mark president of the class,
sure,
and Randy one of the captains of the football team. And I know that Randy said he was going to be talking with Tom. And Norwalk has a very ambitious, they don't have a downtown square like we do, so they're trying to create one. And they've been able to get some high-dollar sponsors to help pay for that, some naming rights like Fairway and other, sure, and local banks and so forth. So I said, ooh, that would be a really good thing for Newton to figure out how to engage more people like that. And it's always good to talk to people from other communities. And of course, as a group, we often talk about legislative issues, especially sure, as once again, they're going to be talking about property taxes, which directly impact city and county budgets. So, it's always good to be in a larger group having a unified voice.
That property tax issue is a big one, and the legislature is going to have to tackle that, and whoever becomes governor is going to have to tackle that because, Evelyn, we've had people call up on WHO radio in tears because they're afraid they're going to lose their homes.
Well,
it's very sad.
Here's my concern is that my dad, when my mom passed, that was one less Social Security and IPERS check.
Yeah.
So he was in this house. It's not just the property tax. It's the insurance. It's the utilities.
Everything.
It's the maintenance. It's that whole combination. But not only that, he was alone in that house. Mm-hmm. And then he had some difficulty getting the trash out to the curb, sure, or getting the mail from the mailbox. And we eventually got him into, we moved him to Newton. We kidnapped him, quite honestly. He didn't know what was happening. We thought, because he wanted to live in that house forever.
Oh, of course.
That's always what they think.
Yeah.
But once he got into Linden Place Apartments, mm-hmm, and found out that, boy, there are people around that he can interact with or not, and the mail was in, it was just so much easier. He couldn't believe that he would enjoy it, mm-hmm, like he did. So it's a bigger issue, and I'm afraid they talk about whack-a-mole. Yeah. When you're taking only one issue, if you're not also addressing, are you going to make sure insurance and electricity, mm-hmm, and gas and all that?
Yeah.
No.
It's a rough thing.
You can't.
It's got to be taken care of.
Yep.
Quick thing back to Tom Phillips, just real quick. His dad was a general in the Iowa National Guard, and he also worked for the Vernon Company. And every Saturday morning, I would hear a helicopter fly over my house, a National Guard helicopter, and they'd come pick up General Phillips at the Newton Airport and take him to wherever he needed to go for his National Guard training. The nicest family you'd ever want to know. I just want to close with that about the Phillips family and Tom and everything, because they were great folks. So I don't mean to dominate, but it just brings back such great memories. And Tom is great family memories, and Randy Irvin and Mark Hallam. We all go way back to NHS, and I'm just proud to be such a happy Newtonian and living here much of my life. In radio, Evelyn, you have to go from town to town and up and down the dial to make more money. And I first worked at KCOB in the 80s, and I went to Carroll, and then to Rockford, Illinois, and Traverse City, Michigan, and then to KIOA, and then to Ames, and then to Waterloo. And I never thought I'd end up back in my hometown, and I'm so glad I did.
Aren't you?
And I'm so glad I met you, and you became mayor, and you've done such a great job. And whatever you do in the future, I wish you nothing but the best of luck. So thanks for doing a good job, and enjoy your retirement, for heaven's sakes.
Thank you very much, Jamie. I appreciate it.
Our interview guest has been Evelyn George, about to be former mayor of Newton, on Out and About with Jamie Grau. Other fine sponsors include B. Nicole's Salon in downtown Grinnell. They're right next to the Chamber of Commerce. They have 2 new additions to their staff at B. Nicole's Salon in downtown Grinnell. And, of course, they contribute a prize. And from what I understand, they're not only supplying a prize for our trivia that we do on Sunday mornings, including a haircut, but also a pedicure, too, for the month of December. So get ready. You can win that when we give away that prize tomorrow morning, Sunday morning, here on Out and About with Jamie Grau. Another fine sponsor includes Westside Java Coffee Bar, contributing a prize on Sunday mornings for our trivia. You can use their drive up right there in the alley on the west side of the square, or stop on in for their delicious mocha lattes that they have and other fine Javas that they have available. I always get their hot chocolate, and they have those delicious cookies too at Westside Java Coffee Bar. The Made Right Sandwich Shop, I had breakfast there this morning. They have breakfast 7 days a week at Westside, good Lord, at Made Right Sandwich Shop in downtown Newton. I'm getting my sponsors confused. It's been a long week. What can I say? James is a great cook, and if you haven't stopped in for their breakfast yet, of course, they always have those traditional Made Rights available, and a great menu at Made Right in downtown Newton. Heaven help me. And another new sponsor that we have, Saints Rest Coffee House. And they also have those monster cookies that they give away on Sunday mornings also, too. I had one of their monster Reese's Peanut Butter Cup cookies. It's worth the drive if you live in Newton over to Saints Rest, or we can mail you a certificate, too. But Sam Cox is the new mayor of Grinnell. You might be able to find our podcast that we did with her. She's a proprietor of Saints Rest, but they also have the mocha lattes, the hot chocolate, and other tasty drinks there at St. Rest Coffee House in downtown Grinnell also. So stop in there. And last but certainly not least, my sweetie, Lynette Baker Halo branded solution. If you need to have your product put on calendars, pens, T-shirts, caps, whatever the case might be, get a hold of Lynette. You can find her business card on the sponsor sheet on our Out and About with Jamie Grau website. I have little stick-on calendars that I'm sending out to all different kinds of people, including our sponsors. I gave them out at the Newton Rotary Club, and they were all done by Lynette. We have pens that I've given out too, and she does a great job as an account executive for Halo Branded Solutions. And if you want to have your product put on whatever the case might be, hey, get a hold of Lynette. She'll take good care of you. She's been with Halo now for a number of years, and she'll take good care of you too. Until next time, out is out. See ya.